seat you could ever be on, and he's such a good guy. He wants too badly to win for his team in the biggest moments.
Right.
He could set the tone here.
Yep.
And in the first inning, he got so fortunate. He got a check swing strikeout call, which was a close call, but it got him out. Remember, he got in hot water right away.
Right.
And then there was a number toward the mound, and he did not come up cleanly on his throw to first. And usually, if you don't get it on the first try, you don't really get a hold of it on the second. And he did, and made an accurate, hard throw to first to nail the runner. If you throw that ball away, you know, all of a sudden mayhem breaks out.
Maybe it breaks out of his mind too. Like,
That's
here
correct.
I go
like,
again.
here I go again. And the great John Smoltz on the call for Fox predicted if he can get through this trouble spot here, he will cruise the rest of the way. And did he ever?
He was special.
Whew, they had
swing and misses.
19 swings and misses? That's impossibly
like
good.
O'Shea back in the day.
That's
O'Shea back in the day.
Oh. You were a swing and miss guy?
Oh, yeah, I was struck out the side.
Oh, I thought you meant you were striking out.
Oh,
no,
no, Skip. You know, that knuckle change for you, boy.
It's weird how that happens. He definitely set the tone. And by the way, I need to get myself a Mookie Betts jersey because I love watching the guy. Game 2 tonight, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Fox. Let's get back to some football and talk a bit more about the Cowboys. At just 2-4, players have reportedly begun to express their frustrations with the coaching staff. One player reportedly said Mike McCarthy's staff is, quote, totally unprepared. And another player simply put it, they just aren't good at their jobs. When asked about the reports, McCarthy said he had not heard of any of those types of discussions and that it's important to, quote, handle things like men. Shannon, did Jerry make a mistake bringing in Mike McCarthy?
I think it's too early. Skip, six games into the season. I think it's far too early to make that kind of big prediction and say it was a mistake. But I think the thing is, Skip, is that we're starting to see some of the frustrations that Aaron Rodgers started to having with Mike McCarthy towards the end. And I don't know if it was because they weren't teaching, but there were some things that kind of rubbed him the wrong way with this situation. And it went sour in a hurry.
It did.
Because of the success. I mean, Rodgers had won the Super Bowl, had been MVP early on twice. And then all of a sudden, for some reason, something happened, and this thing took a hard right off the road. But for me, Skip, look, the players have got to stop. They got to accept some of this responsibility. I played 14 years, Skip, and I can honestly say, Mike and Dan Reeves was my first coach, and then Wade, and, you know, different offensive coordinators from Jim Fossil to Gary Kubiak to I had Matt Kavanaugh in Baltimore. Skip, I never, the coach's fault. Okay, tell me what, now, Skip, and I understand, this is a new system, and we didn't have the normal mini camps, we didn't have the normal OTAs, and even training camp wasn't normal. Now, I'm a learner, Skip, that I needed to see it. I got to go through. I mean, just drawing it up and says, okay, see this right here? Just go do it. Skip, I wasn't like that. We would have what we call a walkthrough. And the walkthrough was about the plays that we had installed that we're going to run during practice, that we're going to run during the game. So I needed to see, I needed to feel, okay, this is where Ed is, this is where Rod is. Okay, TD's going to do this. Okay, am I going to help, am I help in pass protection? Am I getting help inside, outside? I needed to do that. So maybe, Skip, they need to get more walkthroughs and have a better understanding of what Mike Nolan is trying to teach. And when, guy, if you got the A gap, get to the A gap. Skip, if you got contained, I don't give a damn what goes on in the A or the B gap, I got contained. I'm not letting you outside because, Skip, what happens is, even though you might make a play in a game where you abdicate your responsibility, but teams are watching film knows he ain't supposed to be doing that. And that's why you saw the Cardinals run so many keepers. That's why you saw them kept pitching the ball getting to the edge because they saw in Cleveland, them guys got nosy. And you chasing plays down from the backside, but that's not your job. So guess what we see on film? We can take advantage of that. I think it's too early, Skip, but I think these players are going to have to accept some responsibility and say, guys, we're not doing our job. Because at the end of the day, Skip, you walk by a bunch of mirrors. Ask yourself that question. Am I doing my job? Am I giving that effort? Skip, I can't coach effort. I can coach alignment. I can coach assignment, which is your responsibility. Skip, I can't coach you to play hard. I can't.
Is it too early to, as I said, drop the mic on this mic, as in McCarthy, as I called for Mike Nolan's job, because the defense is horrendously, inexplicably awful. all-time awful, on pace to be the worst defense in the history of pro football on points allowed.
Yes.
The offense isn't much better. And obviously, the offensive line, this is where you give Mike McCarthy some break, it is completely decimated.
Now your left tackle's out. the backup left tackle.
Yeah, exactly. Brandon Knight is out. Okay, so what will Washington do? They'll just bring the house. They're going to blitz Andy Dalton silly. He's going to long for his days in Cincinnati. That's what's going to happen. So it's hard to condemn the offense when the only starter left on offense was the weakest link in the line last year,
Correct.
Connor Williams. And they're not only backups, but we're down to the third-string center, who I think could be a pretty good player, Tyler Biadasz from Wisconsin.
Right.
But he was third string, and he's never played before.
Right.
So we got people all across the ball who have never played before, and both the tackles on Monday night were undrafted free agents, a rookie and a second-year player.
Right.
What do you think's going to happen? They're going to come after you. Bad things are going to happen everywhere. But still, how great is Mike McCarthy? Well, at least he has a ring on his finger. I don't know if he wears it all the time. You don't wear yours a lot, right? Okay. But he has a Super Bowl ring from 10 years ago. So then I look at what's happened recently to him. Obviously, he sat out last year, but his record as a head coach over the last 34 games is 13, 20, and 1. Not great. And yet, Dak Prescott's record over the last 17 games is 6 and 11. Not great. So something with Kellen Moore, he's throwing for record yards through the first 4 games, obviously, then knock on wood.
Dak is still leading the league in passing.
That's what I mean. And he's gone for the year.
Yes.
God bless him. But the point was that Kellen Moore wasn't working correctly. It produced a lot of yards, but I still look at, I keep telling you how hard this has been to watch. They fall behind to the Rams 7-0. That was their best game they played by far.
Correct.
And it was opener at SoFi. Then the Falcons come to town. They fall behind 20-0 and 29-10 at half. And then at Seattle, they're down 30-15 in the third quarter. Cleveland had them down 41-14 in the third quarter. The Giants had Dak down 17-3 in the second quarter. Okay, what's wrong with that? Somehow you need somebody else to be calling the plays because the script is wrong.
Right.
You need to be able to control the football and play chess and possess the football early in the game to give your defense a chance just to hang in and hang on until maybe you can actually eke out a 3-0 lead and make them feel a little bit better about who they are.
Right.
So then I look at Mike McCarthy in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers and obviously going back to Brett Favre. Okay, so he had the one magical run to the Super Bowl. Do you realize they were the road wild card team that year, right? Yeah. So they didn't have a great regular season. They just barely eked into the playoffs with Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
So they go to Philly for the first round game, the wild card game. And do you realize it winds up 21-16 Packers? But do you remember the Michael Vick throw?
Threw it in the end zone for the win.
He threw for a win to Riley Cooper, unfortunately. I don't know how he was on the team, but whatever. And Tramon Williams put it in his back pocket because we don't have Mike on today, but we'll have him on next couple of days. I'm going to ask him, was that your most regrettable decision? Because remember, there were 44 seconds left and you had 1st and 10 at the 27-yard line. Right. And he went for broke on the first throw and it ended the game. Okay, that's how close that team came to losing to Michael Vick and the Eagles at Philly. Yep. Okay, then Aaron had a great game at Atlanta. I thought Atlanta was a bad team anyway. And then came Chicago. They survived 21-14, and the quarterback they're beating in the second half is Caleb Haney in place of my guy, Jay Cutler from Vanderbilt University, who was riding the exercise bike with a sprained knee through the second half. And Aaron threw no touchdowns and 2 interceptions in that game, and you barely survived. So I look at the overall record, and since the Super Bowl, Aaron is 6-7 in the playoffs, and under McCarthy, he was 5-6. And a bunch of them, you were pretty fortunate to win because you got to play Joe Webb as a starting quarterback and Kirk Cousins. And then there was the Dez Cauditt game, which he did. And then there was the Mason Crossbar game at Dallas, in which he made a 56 and 51-yard impossibly intergalactic field goal.
Well, every field goal in PAT, your guy kick it hooks like that. Zerline.
Okay, I don't even know what that is. You just said you threw a knuckle change, or you say knuckle curve. He kicks knuckleballs that go sideways. I don't know how a football can even do that off his foot, and everyone he kicks is like that.
Everyone does that.
Right?
Skip, I think that the biggest thing is with the defense. The worst thing you can do if you're a defensive player is freelance. Then you really, because as a defensive player, you start trying to do somebody else's responsibility. And then, because if I'm Mike McCarthy, this is what I do. I bring everybody in, the defensive line, linebackers, DBs, and I discuss it like that. I says, okay, here's the defense we're calling. Here is your responsibility. Alden Smith, this is what I want you to do. Everson Griffin, this is what I want you to do. My D tackles, I want you to line up here. You have this gap, you have that gap. Jalen, Wolf Hunter, this is your responsibility.
Sure.
In this coverage, when we go single high, you deep third, you got hook flat, you got deep third, you got deep third. This is what we, Skip, because for whatever reason, Skip, is something, there's either I'm not communicating it properly or you're not receiving it properly, but something is going on. So that's what, but you can't, because Skip, you start freelancing, is that, okay, I got to make this play. And just when you think you're about to make a play in somebody else's gap, they take advantage of your aggressiveness, your freelancing, and now they're out the backside and people looking at you crazy like, man, but I was trying, I thought, no, you can't do that. Play sound. The one thing you can't do, Skip, on defense is freelance. You can't, I mean, you can get away with it. Sometimes on offense, Skip, you make up a ride like, okay, do this and do that. But the quarterbacks look at you like, man, I ain't throwing with you. That bull, we ain't practiced that, I'm not throwing you the ball. But on defense, you freelance when you got a contain and you jump your butt in the C gap or the B gap, Skip, they toss it and they're out the gate.
What ended Earl Thomas's time in Baltimore? Freelancing.
And sometimes, Skip, look, okay, if you're going to freelance, how about I tell you, okay, Skip, this is what I'm going to do, okay? In this segment right here, this is where I'm going to go with this. You have an understanding. But if I just start going off the cuff, you looking like, what am I supposed to do with this?
You go off the cuff every topic, every day.